Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday. So Cleanspark reported their quarterly results ending in June, which is their Q3 results, and they're actually really good. So they also stated that they have fully funded the 16 exahash growth, which I talked about like 4 months ago in a video, how much they could possibly dilute, and I was pretty doggone close to that. I said about 60 to 75 million shares. It looks like they diluted about 75 million shares, but we'll take a look at those numbers that we had back then, what I discussed in it, and then we'll also take a look at obviously their results for the quarter. So a lot of good news here. Let's take a look at what they had to provide us here as far as numbers. But as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research and invest in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. So let's get into Cleanspark here. Also, Riot provided their numbers last night. Also, I had to go to a birthday party, so I didn't get to do all the numbers yet. So Riot will be coming out later on today as well, possibly towards the end of the day. Okay, so here's Cleanspark. Reports third quarter fiscal year 2023 financial results, announces 16 exahash expansion fully funded, which is great news. And here's what we have. So they have achieved a record revenue for the quarter of 45.5 million, net loss of 14.2 million, and adjusted EBITDA of 13.3 million, which is great. Reports current cash and Bitcoin holdings of 125 million, 16 exahash target now fully funded. So this is fantastic news as well. And here's some of the details. Here's a quote. We have fully funded our growth to 16 exahash, including miners, facilities, and other infrastructure, on top of the record-breaking quarter in terms of growth and revenue, said Zach Bradford, CEO. We now operate over 9 exahash of efficiency computing power at some of the industry's best all-in electrical cost. Now, that growth is translating to record-setting revenue. We have over 90 million in cash and almost 1,200 Bitcoin on our balance sheet as of today. So that was as of yesterday. Let's see here. There was something else over here I think that I wanted to show you guys, or maybe not. I think that's it. Okay, so I did take a look at their conference call. I listened to it this morning, and not much news there other than we found out that their all-in cost for electricity is like 4.1 cents, 4.2 cents, something like that. So that was good news there. They are going to be also going to be looking to HODL more as we get into this bull run here, which is good to see. And then they're going to use that HODL position as they did in the past year when they started selling back almost 2 years ago. They're going to do the same thing when Bitcoin reaches possibly new all-time highs or gets close to that. They're going to be selling that to fund future growth expansion going forward. So I like that. But let's take a look at the numbers that we do have here for them. And this was from their conference call, so I listened to that. But let's take a look at the numbers that we do have here, and then we'll point out the video that I had about 4 months ago. So currently they reported 152 million shares outstanding on the Q3 report, which was as of June 30th. And at that time, that obviously rose their market cap quite significantly. It rose it by about 200 some plus million in market cap based on the old numbers that we had, which were, if we look at the old numbers here for the prior quarter, those were at, let's see, we had 112 million. So it definitely increased by 40 million shares here in the quarter and diluted by about 35%. But that's kind of what I was looking at back then, that they would possibly get to right around that number. So here's the video from that this was about 4 months ago. It's titled Cleanspark, the reason it's undervalued and why it has huge upside potential, 5 to 7x. You guys can search for that and play the whole clip, but here's just a couple, like 30 seconds to a minute clip of showing how I calculated what they actually might dilute. And here, let's play this theoretical problem on it. So if we're looking at 200 million, they use 80 million of Bit. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention for you guys here really quick is look at the numbers that we had here. We had almost 78 million shares outstanding here. Okay, so let me just play that again. Growth here. That's right. So this is just a big theoretical problem on it. So if we're looking at 200 million, they use 80 million of Bitcoin production here. We're only going to be down to approximately 120 million. That's going to be needed for dilution, I think. Maybe 120 to 170 million possibly to get to the remaining 16 exahash they want to get to, if they only, like I said, use the 120 million and the stock price stays where it's at. Stock price right now is at $2.44. Let's just say that they're going to be at $2 just for the giggles of it. So that's going to be approximately 60 million to about 75 million shares of dilution, which possibly could be what they're going to end up doing here. Might be a little bit more, but I'm kind of guessing somewhere around here, share dilution, okay? So there you have it. I said 4 months ago that they're going to be diluting 60 to 75 million shares. It turns out that they did dilute about 75 million shares. which was where I in Q, and about what they needed to grow there. So this is good news. This is definitely within the bounds that I was looking for, and it's great to see that they're fully funded now for the rest of the 16 exahash. We might still see a little bit of dilution here, but at least we're not going to see anything major like we have seen over the last basically quarter and a half or so. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out to you guys. You guys can take a look at that video if you want, and I'll probably provide that link in the description below as well. Okay, so let's take a look at the numbers that we do have for them, and we'll go through it all. So like I said, market cap now is 770 million. Stock price as of yesterday was at $5.05. It's up a little bit now in the morning hours. I think it's like at 5:15 right now, pre-hours. Their performance has been okay in the last 12 weeks or so. They're up 25% from 12 weeks ago, up 36% from 8 weeks ago, and then they're down from 4 weeks ago, 23%, and last week they were down 11.07%. We've talked about their operations here in the past as well, as far as their monthly production updates. So we've covered that already, so I'm not going to get into that too much. We're going to take a look at their quarterly results. So last 4 quarters revenue, and the current quarter is estimated here, what they're possibly going to be making in Q4 for them, which is going to be Q3 for the rest of us. But you can see a continuation of increases in revenue quarter over quarter, which is great to see. We can see also last 4 quarter operating costs have remained, at least the last 3 quarters, have remained relatively flat. They're actually down a little bit here in Q3 compared to Q2, which is great to see as well. Cost to mine 1 BTC minus depreciation. This is what I'm calculating at 12.7 thousand per BTC right now in Q3, which is up a little bit from 11.8. Bitcoin mines quarterly, they have come down a little bit here to 1,624 from 1,871. And that is mainly because they were pretty much flat here. If you look at their hash rate here through basically the first part of the year, first half, they were pretty much flat at around 6.6, 6.7 exahash. Without having major growth in there, the network hash rate growing, that's going to reduce the amount of Bitcoins that you're generating there. So that's the reason for that, which is expected. We're seeing that with some of the other miners also that are not growing at that point. Okay, debt to equity has decreased nicely here to 0.084, smaller is better. Current ratio has also increased to 1.4083, which is great to see. That's been increasing here over the last 3 quarters as well. So that's good news there. Then we have total current assets at 52.69 million. They said they have, what, 120 million, something like that in the press release, which was Bitcoin and cash combined as of August, as of yesterday. So that's even better there. Total current liabilities has come down to 37.42 million. So that's good. They had paid down some debt there, which is great to see. And if we look at some of the raw numbers here, let's see here. Let's take a look at the revenue. So the revenue side of things, let's see here. Was it down here? Sorry. Getting myself mixed up here. Revenue came in at 45.427 million. I had them at 45.5 million. So I was off by 0.16%, which is fantastic. It's the same number as I was off by here, 0.16%. So really in line with where I thought they were going to be. So that's great to see that we were doing it and tracking the numbers properly. So that's fantastic there. And let's take a look at the numbers that we have here. We'll get back into some of these metrics back here later on. Assets. So assets have improved 21.8 from 10.3. So that's great there. What else do we have here? That's kind of interesting. That went up. Prepaid expenses are pretty much the same. Digital currency value has increased to 13.9 from 5.2. So that's great. Derivative investments. Let's see here. What else? Current assets held for sale. That was down a little bit here to 4.9 from 5.39. Not too big of a deal. But overall, total current assets increased to 52.69 million from 32.9. But a huge increase there, about 20 million in increase. So that's good to see. Property and equipment also increased to 48.2 million from 44 million, or 440 million. 482 million from 440 million. And then let me see here. What else do we have here? We got, let me see here. Deposits on mining equipment. That's their funding for the additional mining machines that they're going to be getting to 16 exahash. That's fully funded there. Goodwill stayed about the same. That stayed about the same. And total assets increased to 652 million from 531 million. So that's fantastic there as well. Liabilities. Liabilities actually decreased here a little bit. Accounts payable and accrued liabilities went down to 29 from 31 million. And those things stayed the same. That stayed the same. That actually contingent consideration dropped down. And total current liabilities went down to 37.4 from 41.2, which is good. And then total liabilities went down to 49 from 57.6. So that's also really good there. Now, total stockholder equity now is at 652 million from 531 million. So a nice increase there, almost 120 million. And increase in that, so that's really good. And revenues. So revenues we covered a little bit here. They're up 45 million compared to the 42 million in the prior quarter. Other services was up a little bit here as well to 96,000 from 58,000 looks like. Cost of revenues have come down to 20,000 or 20,681,000 from 22 million. Professional fees also went down, which is good to see. Payroll, however, went up a little bit here to 10.4 million from 9.7. General and administrative also went up a little bit here as well to 5 million from 4.3. They've taken on additional sites. They're growing their hash rate, number of miners they have, and everything else. So that's kind of expected to go up a little bit. What else do I have here? That's depreciation, amortization was 21.8 million compared to 21.3 million. So cost of revenue was 61 million, up a little bit here from the 60 million, but given that they've grown quite nicely, but at least not in that quarter, currently that's expected at least. Gross profit came in at negative 34%, but if we take out depreciation out of that, it's at 54% on that one. Expenses minus depreciation came in at, let's see here, 39.25 million compared to 38.6, and then loss profit was at 6.1 million compared to 3.8 million, a nice increase there as well. So that was good. And then if we look over here, let's see here. Income loss before income taxes was negative 14 million compared to negative 18, so that's an improvement there. That's good. And if we scroll all the way down here, net loss was negative 14 million compared to negative 18 million. So that's good. Things are getting better. Loss per share was basically 12 cents. Diluted and basic and diluted shares was 114 million during the quarter. If we take out the minus depreciation comprehensive income, we're looking at possibly 7.6 million in income and 7 cents per share roughly. Okay, if we use these numbers over here. So that's something new that I've added in here just to take a look at how things would stack up if we took out depreciation, which is a non-cash expense on that one. So that's kind of how they came in on that one. Okay. Now looking at the numbers up here, we can see, let's see here, where are we at now? Custom mine 1 BTC minus depreciation was at 12,734, which was up a little bit from the 11.8, almost $1,000, well, $900 more or so for that. And then what do we have here? Current and debt to ratio and current ratio. We talked about that already. You got the book value, price to book ratio, enterprise value as well, beta, and revenue. Okay, so revenue and then general administrative compensation. So that's still in line where it was prior quarter, right around 33%. It's up a little bit here to 33.98. I'd like to see that come down more, but that also includes not only just general administrative compensation, but also includes payroll in there. So those numbers are what's driving that. And that's, yeah, payroll expenses and general administrative expenses. Those are what I'm including in there, because some companies actually provide it all in one, general administrative compensation, and some actually break it down like Cleanspark has done here. Excuse me. Now we've already talked about the shares numbers that have been diluted, and hopefully the dilution kind of cools a little bit here going forward since they have everything funded already for the 16 exahash. They still might fund a little bit. I don't know if they're going to fund dilution to HODL. I hope they don't do too much of that. But if we're going into the bull market, it could be swayed in that direction. That might be okay, but I don't really like it normally. So based on all those numbers, they're currently at 5,005 cents. As of yesterday, they're up a little bit today, this morning. I still think that they are way undervalued. They should be around $11.15 at the PE of 50, PE of 20, 50% net income from gross revenue, and that's using the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in. And then if we're looking forward, the next 12 months, if we use the 8 months before the halving event, and then the 4 months after the halving event based on the July revenue, we're looking at $11.33 to $17. So definitely way undervalued. Based on this, this should be probably in market cap value closer. This would be almost double here. They should be at right around 1.5 billion in revenue, which would be pretty, well, it still wouldn't be close to where Riot is or Marathon is, but at least it would get them more valued equally to what those guys are being valued at if we look at those guys here really quick. So Marathon, if we look at it here, is currently valued at 2.7 billion, right? They have 18 exahash. Riot has right now is valued at 2.8 billion also as of yesterday. They have 10 exahash. So I would imagine with their HODL growing, with also their hash rate going to be growing, that they should be valued closer probably to around 2 billion to 2 point something billion, being a little bit closer to those guys with number of hash rate and then HODL increasing, like I said. Okay. Let's take a quick look at how the stock is doing this morning. If we take a look at it here, we can see that right now it's in pre-hours. We have a little bit to go before it changes over. And they're at $5.14 right now. So they are up a little bit here on that one as it is. So we can get that updated maybe. Let's Hive. We want Cleanspark. Cleanspark is at 5.13 right now in pre-hours. Okay. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think of it. The spreadsheet is obviously going to be available to my Patreon members who are coming up. I'll get this uploaded to you guys later on tonight or later on today, this morning. And we'll get into Riot. And I think Stronghold also reported this morning as well. Their quarterly results. We'll get into that, those videos later on tonight. All right. So hopefully we'll have a good day in the markets. Hope you guys have a great day. And if you enjoy the type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.